So NG'd again. Want to check and see if maybe doing an NG would do a flush, and maybe there was some residual data that was working against me. I haven't detected that so far, and NG is common to me. It doesn't matter. I enjoy capturing ships and building ships and doing the stuff that I do, and there is not really any retention of any specific ship, but that's it's the point of making the habs and doing the mods is to make it convenient and have things that I like. Plus, it's been an exercise. It keeps my mind going to be able to find things to work on and um, learn stuff. So this is a little bit different of a start because I've got some things that I have access to that I've created. I've got these elite weapons, and I've got a container full of all that stuff. But the containers I didn't really put there as a matter of convenience, though it is. I mean, if I wanted, I could go over there and just grab weapons out of that, a suit of armor out of that. Eventually, the suit of armor that's in there, I might have that modded, pre-modded, so that it's not as many steps getting it to the stat condition that I want. But it's just not something that I'm working on right now. But I go ahead and grab my Frontier, shape it into a better ship, drop my mods in it. The whole reason of those 3x1s was basically for this pattern that I'm going to turn the Frontier into. And but what I was trying to find out is I was trying to find out if by going into the creation kit and making modifications, I know that there's been some effect of creating something and dropping it in the world, making the change in the active world, and it taking time to actually get picked up and work and function correctly. And usually that self-corrects any residual thing that is just not quite right. Might just resolve itself on a new game where it flushes your save file and does a certain amount of a flush to reset things. And so I wanted to, before I kept banging my head against the wall on certain issues, the wall hanger displays, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a case of that I was just dealing with cache data that needed to be refreshed before things worked. That doesn't seem to be the case. But it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't really matter anyway. I mean, going and doing a new game and running through and building ships, I enjoy that. And it's not like there's a loss on any of that. It's just it's a reason to do it again. And so far I have enjoyed doing it again. That's just the way I play the game. So I set this up the way I want. I've got knowledge of the things that I can pull out of the game using console commands. And I go ahead and set up my ship, and I can adjust its weight and everything. I know that all of the components of this build, when you add that buoyancy insulator and when you add the stealth, I have access to the Vanguard weapon set automatically because I've got that access built into my mod. And I've got my materials here so that I can start crafting things and dropping an outpost if I want to. All of the things that I've determined that it takes to start over again. I've got that all sitting there on the tarmac. So I grab it and push it off into the inventory. The normal routine. It doesn't take very long at all. I've gotten real fast at this. It takes me, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. Probably more like 30 minutes now. I've got it down. It's real fast. And once I get all this stuff done, I go ahead and head out to the space station, get the secret outpost drop so I can go get the Razorleaf. It's just standard operating procedure for me. Go grab that. It's my next ship. Twist it up into something. A concept that I've got, because the whole idea basically right now is I'm testing these halves, and testing means redundancy, to confirm consistency or to surface inconsistencies, and I've done test engineering for a while. 30 years ago, I was an engineer doing test engineering, creating test fixtures for products, and writing the code to run the automated equipment that we designed and built and installed. So it's kind of in my blood, and I still enjoy it. The end result, though, is that these weapons persist in being problematic, but I'm going through some routines to see if I can isolate and repeat certain behaviors, like why in some cases the instance refresh will suddenly spawn or not spawn certain weapons, and why some of them might be half spawned and half not spawned with respect to their skin. That may just be the way things are and there is nothing to find out there, but that can be determined through a representative sample, which when you have a good count of samples and it remains inconsistent, then that's kind of a pointer to that it's a random thing that isn't necessarily controlled by anything specific when you're doing the same thing again and again and again, that there's some thing that is happening randomly that causes random behavior. And so it's a matter of going through several cycles to see what kind of behavior turns out to be consistent and what's inconsistent, what seems random, what isn't really giving you any pointers to, oh, when this happens and if it happens like this, then you'll get this result more frequently, or that even can be misleading if you're not really paying much attention, or if you're really still working from a small sample size. So the repetition is a good thing if you can stand it, and yeah, I can stand it. I'm kind of like wired for this sort of thing. So, it fits me. So I go ahead and I set everything up, and I build out my ship, and at this point it still looks like there's an uncontrollable condition that occurs with the weapon skins. And when I say uncontrollable, what I mean is that I haven't done anything that is affecting a change that's noticeable. So I haven't added any modification that seems to benefit the favorable outcome I'm looking for. And there's a couple of ideas of how that might be done. One, there's information on how, say for instance, the pirate skin for the hard target. There's a keyword that directs that the hard target is going to be a pirate skin. And then there's a routine that knows. This is where I'm blind because I'm gonna call out something that I haven't actually isolated all of the components of where that happens. But the fact is that when you put the keyword pirate skin on the hard target, then the hard target gets a pirate skin when you spawn one. When you refresh the instance in the ship, what happens is random, which means that the method that reads that data has inconsistent behavior to it, that it doesn't have the same behavior as when you spawn the item to begin with and it's built for you. So there's a difference there. The consistency of it staying in the world outside of the instance of the ship has to do with that there's not a routine that goes and does a scrub on items in the affected environment. So there's two possibilities that cross my mind of how to deal with that. One would be is that the base item that from the duplicated and renamed copy of the base item, if that renamed copy is pointing to a base item, that the graphic file that is being pointed to for the base item is actually the skinned item. It's not a routine or a method that says skin it with using this. It is actually the actual graphic representation that creates that. That would be one way, and it would be perceivably a simple solution because those elements exist somewhere inside the game. It's an NIF file. It is something that already has that graphic in stasis that it says use this. Trying to look through and find that or figure out how that's being plugged together is a deep dive that I haven't done, and I'm unsure whether it's one way to go. The other way is that I've in querying and having conversations with the AI that goes through the forum boards and the various discussions, I get information that seems contaminated because they try to link other Bethesda games like Skyrim and Fallout, and they use a creation kit, and they try to extrapolate the creation kit, and it's going to all act the same, and if you do it like this in this game, then this is the method that would work in the other game. And from what I can tell, that's not correct. That Starfield is different, that they have not used the same kind of routines, that the Skyrim stuff is more developed, and that you can't do those things. That said, there's scripting options that appear to be available, as there is a scripting tab or a scripting section on some of these objects. And so if that exists, then if that option actually is capable of facilitating a coded instruction to do a certain refresh or basically rebuild this item, then you could just say that on refresh, when the instance is launched and this item is touched, or whenever this item is made active, which means that you've got to figure out when that's being touched so that that routine runs. So that gets complicated and messy. And that doesn't really seem like that's a good idea. That seems like that's a complicated idea that you'd really have to know a lot of depth into the coding process, which would probably be access that I'll never see. That's probably only people that have some connection with the developers that can get that. I'm going to refer to it as inside information because it doesn't seem to be information that is that I'm finding. And I don't know that it's inside information. It may just be there and I haven't found it. But that from my perspective at this point in time and doing a what if scenario of what if I try this or what if I try that, and trying to think it through of where would that lead, that seems to be maybe a rabbit hole that might be too involved and fairly risky without having some really strong knowledge in the inner workings of those functions. And the other thing that's been suggested is that one of the ways that the game isolates something so that it's not touched is that they connect it to a quest. And so if these items are looked at as being quest items in the ship, they are supposed to then be isolated from being interfered with by the refresh and flush functions that the ship goes through to try to maintain the integrity of the ship's structure due to all of the clutter mechanics that are built in. Now, they designed the clutter mechanics in order to make the ship look like it was lived in, try to make it a living thing, and the clutter, there is a certain benefit to the clutter because you can go sell it. The vendors never have enough money to buy all the clutter that you get, so you really have to, I'm saying you, but that's like the Queen's we. For me, that means I have to go through and do a lot of jettison. And to me, I just jettison that crap because it's worthless and I don't need the credits. And I don't want to go to any of the vendors and go through their menu system of selling stuff, and they never have enough credits anyways. So it's a wrong turn for me. So to me, the whole clutter system is a nuisance. I don't like clutter. I don't like the filth that it creates. When you're trying to make a pristine ship and keep it ship shape. I mean, military ships are painted and cleaned routinely. They got to be, clean. You can't have that stuff laying around. And even if you're talking about any kind of a cruise ship, unless you're the captain and you're a pig, ship shape has a meaning. And so it's a concept that they've thrown in there that I don't really understand how they came up with that was a good idea, but it exists. And it's still there. So the fact that it's there, they have to go through and manage that. And it is a problem that they've created that causes stress on the engine because of the number of items that build, and the ship, the instant has to be launched every time you go to get in your ship, or every time that you modify your ship, the instant has to be relaunched, and there's overhead and fiddling with all that clutter and all the pointers of the coordinates of where it is and what it is and how many there are, and on and on and on and on. And it's excess overhead that the easy route is that you just grab anything that's not the ship's structure and you push it into inventory. That's the result that they go to. And the end result also is the end result also is anything that's not the ship structure and isn't clutter just gets grouped up in there. And there's other things that happened. I haven't actually been using the built-in decorate tool. So I don't know if the built-in decorate tool actually has some features to it that resolve some of the problems like the weapon rack. If that actually says, okay, these things are persistent, and I thought about that, I was thinking about it, and thought, oh, hey, you know what? I haven't been using that. I need to check that out. And so I'm going to look in to see if these weapon racks that will lose their guns, literally, you can be standing there, take a gun out of your inventory and put it on the rack, and then it just disappears. It's not on the rack, and it's not in your inventory, and it's gone. So that's disappointing. I don't think it should work like that, but some of them do. Not all of them do, some of them do. And I'm wondering if maybe the ship's decorate function, if you use the ship's decorate function to put those weapon racks up, if that solves the problem. So I've still got to test that. But it's getting to the point where it's like, don't even use weapon racks. Carry what you want to carry in your inventory. And if you want something decorated on the wall, create a pack-in that puts it on the wall. And you'll get it there where you see it there, but its skin may change because the routines don't know how to handle making its appearance persistent. And so there's also in building those duplicated and renamed objects, they have a mod list, and there's an ability to order items in the mod list. And so I don't know if there's actually a functional benefit to ordering that, but I went ahead and pushed the weapon skin to the top of the list. You know, try something. And I'm going to see if I get any benefit out of that. So basically, it's just fiddling with stuff and seeing if I find something beneficial seems to surface that's repeatable. Occurs. I like the way this one turned out. There's the Razorleaf. And I needed to build that because I want to be able to push these other modules together. I've got, I've got all these variations of modules, the 3x3, the 2x3, the 3x1s, the base the base halves of just the 3 halves to make a base ship is a good starting point. That's why I created those halves to begin with. But I like the decor of these other halves, so I want to be able to throw them in there. And I also need to have them active so that I can see if I get any repeatable results. I mean, if they're just sitting in the ship builder unused, I'm not gathering any data on them. So I've got to actually put them in a ship that I'm using. That one guy was just CCing the hell out of me. I never get that kind of performance out of this ship. That's why I throw them away as fast as I can. I used to take and just sell them for nothing to the vendor to get them out of my inventory. It's just total trash. Look at that. This almost took me out. Fumbling. I'm running on low sleep there. Fumbled my keyboard. There's something else different going on though with some of these fights where things seem like they're not actually happening correctly. The movement that these ships can do and the weapons that they've got and the effect. I haven't figured that out yet. But it only seems to be in more recent games because those guys were really easy before. And I'm in hard mode, but I've got a 4K shield and really good weapons, and some of those guys are really difficult. And the effects they get out of their weapons is like something's broken and not working correctly, but I don't know. I don't know what's really going on in that condition. But I go over here to Masada to open up the area and start playing the game a little bit. I haven't been really back in the creation kit any. I've got all the halves built I want to build right now. And basically I've just pondering what might be going on, what a solution might be to that weapon refresh problem. I usually don't talk to these guys. I don't give them the time of day. I didn't mean to activate talking to them. What's the shortest answer I can get him to get him to shut up and let's fight? I decided that I wanted to collect his ship, so I take this other one out. And then I turned back on this guy and one-shot him and didn't mean to. Oh well. Yeah, I heard somebody had actually made a mod to solve that problem. So that indicates that there is a method that you can solve that problem, but I want to figure it out. I want to find the simple solution. I don't think that's a mod that I'd buy anyway. I mean, it seems like it's a flaw in the game, and I'm not going to buy a mod that fixes a flaw in the game. I think that just encourages them to make flaws. I think the hab turned out all right. I just it's a little disappointing that the skins aren't showing up, but you know, and it's interesting because at first I thought, well, the skins aren't going to show up, and then they showed up. And now then I'm like spoiled, and I want the skins to show up, and it seems to be like a broken feature of the game that nah, that's random. Whatever. It's just a game. And it's actually interesting to have puzzles to try to figure out. So, no big deal. I'll figure it out or I won't, but it doesn't matter. One step at a time.